The rock is cold in a way that metal is not cold. It is the cold of something that has been cold for a very long time. Not the cold of altitude, but the cold of depth. The cold of the bottom of an ocean. This is marine limestone, fossil shells of ocean creatures, compressed into rock. It was found at 8,849 meters above sea level, at the summit of Everest. Not a metaphor, not a figure of speech, physical fact. The rock under every climber's boots on the highest mountain on the planet spent millions of years beneath kilometers of salt water. 50 million years ago, two continents collided. The seabed between them was hurled into the sky, and that collision has not stopped. This range, the Himalayas, is not a monument. It is an event, still happening, and almost everything you think you know about it is the surface of something much older, much more violent, and much stranger. Let's go in. At night, in the silence of a high Himalayan camp, the mountain makes sounds, not wind. Sounds from inside the rock, cracks, low pops, the sound of stone under pressure, adjusting to forces that have been building for 50 million years. The mountain is not still. It has never been still. 50 million years ago, the tectonic plate carrying India advanced against the Eurasian landmass with the force of an entire continent in motion. The impact crushed the bed of the ancient Tethys Sea and threw it against the sky. The largest earthquake ever recorded, magnitude 9.5, moved the ground for 2 minutes. This collision has lasted 50 million years, and it has not finished. The Himalayas grow 5 millimeters per year, the same pace as your fingernails. In geological terms, this range is an adolescent, the youngest major mountain system on Earth, still in the process of becoming what it will be. 2,400 kilometers. The whole of Germany fits inside, with room to spare. The mountain makes no announcement. It just keeps rising. And this growth has a consequence that no tourist guide mentions. The theodolite showed the correct reading. Then it didn't. British surveyors in the 1840s rechecked the calibration, cleaned the lenses, replaced the plumb line, checked again. The reading was still wrong. They spent years believing their instruments were broken. They weren't. The mountain, 200 kilometers away, was pulling their equipment toward it. A plumb line at the base of the Himalayas does not point to the center of the Earth. It deflects toward the range. The mass of rock, hundreds of kilometers wide, 70 kilometers deep, distorts the local gravitational field of the planet. Not metaphor. Measurable physics, documented since the 19th century. A range so massive it bends the invisible architecture of the planet around itself. And massive enough to make you doubt what you hold in your hand. And most of that mass is somewhere you will never see. At 12 kilometers underground, the deepest point humans have ever drilled, the rock stopped behaving like rock. It had been under such pressure for so long that it moved, imperceptibly slowly, like very cold glass. The drill brought pieces to the surface that expanded as the pressure released. The engineers had expected solid stone. They found something that had almost forgotten how to be solid. The Himalayan roots extend 6 times deeper than that. To keep these peaks standing, the mountains have roots of crust that plunge 70 kilometers into the mantle. What you see, the peaks, the ridges, the snow, is approximately 10% of the structure. The rest floats in the magma below like a stone iceberg. There is no word in any language for the feeling of standing on 10% of something. And from these roots, the Himalayas produce the most powerful geopolitical weapon on the planet. And it is made of water. At the source of the Ganges, where the river first appears from beneath the glacier, the water is gray. Not the clear blue of mountain streams. Gray, heavy with rock flour ground by ice against stone for centuries. Cold enough to numb a hand in 4 seconds. It smells of cold mineral and nothing else. From this gray trickle, 400 million people drink. And that is just one of the 7 rivers that begin in this ice. The Indus, the Ganges, the Brahmaputra, the Yangtze, the Yellow River, the Mekong, the Salween, 2.5 billion people, all beginning in the same glaciers. Whoever controls this ice controls the continent's tap. This is why 3 nuclear powers, India, Pakistan, and China, share borders along this range and dispute every centimeter of it. The water is gray. Nobody who drinks from it has ever stood at the source. Nobody at the source knows what it feeds. But the scale descends further, all the way to the ground, to something that costs more than gold and nobody outside the region has heard of. The ground is frozen under the knees. The cold rises through fabric in minutes. You are moving at walking pace across a high-altitude meadow, face 30 centimeters from the soil, looking for something the size and color of a dead twig against dead grass. When you find one, it doesn't look like $63,000 per kilogram. It looks like nothing. Cordyceps sinensis, a fungus that parasitizes moth larvae buried in the high-altitude soil. On Asian markets, $63,000 per kilogram. More expensive than gold. The harvest cannot be mechanized. It is done by hand, by sight, by feel, at altitude, in cold that numbs the fingers before the hour is up. Entire communities, not individual foragers, entire communities climb above 4,500 meters every year to find it. Kneeling in the ice with tweezers and patience. An economy built on something that looks like nothing and is worth everything. From the ground to the rock that the world mislabeled. The air smells of ancient snow. Not the fresh smell of a recent storm, but something mineral and dense, compressed over centuries, that settles at the back of the throat and stays. The silence between the avalanches is the kind that has weight. And when the avalanches come, they do not roar, they crack. A single dry sound, fast and final, like a door closing on a room the size of a continent. The world labeled this place Killer Mountain. 4,600 meters of continuous vertical ascent, taller than Mont Blanc, measured from its own foot. What really exists here is geology at visible speed. Nanga Parbat rises 7 to 9 millimeters per year, faster than the Himalayan average. The rock is under construction as you look at it. The Shina shepherds who live in the valleys below do not use the Urdu name. They call it Diama, King of Mountains, and build their houses with their backs to the south face. Because the wind that descends in storms tears off the roofs. You do not face the Diama, you learn to live sideways. 200 kilometers to the northeast, the Himalayas change completely. To reach the next place, you need military authorization, not a visa. To get here, you need military authorization, not a visa. A clearance from the Indian Army to enter an active conflict zone, active since 1984. The Siachen Glacier, 76 kilometers of compressed ice, the largest glacier outside the polar regions, at 5,400 meters average altitude. In winter, -50 degrees Celsius. The whiteness blinds in minutes without protection. Retinal burn, not metaphor. The air carries an ozone smell so dry that the mucous membranes begin to bleed at first prolonged contact. India and Pakistan have disputed Siachen since the 1980s. More soldiers have died here from hypothermia and avalanche than from combat. Soldiers lose teeth, fingers, and sometimes their sense of time. What the conflict obscures is what the glacier does. It is the source of the Indus River, which sustains 220 million Pakistanis. Whoever controls Siachen does not control a piece of ice. They control the tap of a nation. 2 armies, 1 glacier, a retreat of 35 meters every year. Regardless, from the politics of ice, the range turns inward, toward the only point on Earth, where 4 religions, simultaneously, point to the same summit and agree to leave it alone. At the base of Kailash, the drums of pilgrims arrive muffled, as if the air absorbs the sound before it reaches the ears. The altitude is not high enough to explain it. The atmosphere above the Tibetan plateau simply thins the world. The cold at the base, not the summit, just the base, is the kind that cracks your lips before you notice it has happened. Mount Kailash, 6,638 meters, a near-perfect pyramid of ice with horizontal bands of black rock that look like steps carved into the snow. Sacred center of 4 religions simultaneously: Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Bön. No climbing expedition has ever been approved. Not deferred, but never approved. What this summit also is: the hydraulic axis of the continent. Within a 100-kilometer radius of this peak, 4 of Asia's greatest rivers begin their journey: the Indus, the Brahmaputra, the Sutlej, the Karnali, toward 4 different oceans. No other point on Earth does this. 4 religions found the same answer independently. That does not happen often. From the mountain that nobody scales, the journey moves to the one that everyone wants to, and where the cost of that desire has been accumulating for decades. At Everest Base Camp, the mountain does not look like 8,849 meters. It looks like a wall. The wind at the summit reaches 280 kilometers per hour, the sustained speed of a Category 5 hurricane. The sound that reaches the camp below is a constant low roar, like turbines that never stop. The air contains 33% of the oxygen available at sea level. Above 8,000 meters, oxygen deprivation produces what climbers call the third man. A tactile physical presence, not visual, but tangible, walking beside you, offering food, giving instructions, a presence that has a voice. Several climbers credit the third man with the decision that made them turn back in time. The 300 bodies that remain on the mountain are not reckless people. They are elite climbers with state-of-the-art equipment and carefully planned routes. They died because the death zone does not negotiate. From the mountain where reality dissolves before the summit, the range moves east to one that could have been climbed and chose not to be. Below 4,000 meters, the air on the Kangchenjunga approach smells of pine, warm, resinous, almost domestic. Then the tree line ends and the temperature drops like a wall. The silence between the slopes is so dense you hear your own footsteps echoing in the rock. The wind does not howl. It whistles between the peaks on a high continuous note, like pressure escaping from a sealed chamber. Third highest peak on Earth, 8,586 meters, Nepal and India. For decades, a mortality rate per climbing attempt higher than Everest. Since the first ascent in 1955, every single expedition has stopped a few meters from the summit. not from exhaustion, by choice. The local population believes reaching the top would bring misfortune to the valley communities below. Without a single documented exception, every expedition team has honored that request. For 70 years, the summit has not been conquered, it has been refused. The mist here has a texture. You feel it on the skin as cold moisture before you understand it as cloud. The silence is the silence of a place without permanent human presence. No radios, no generators, no camps. Just wind, rock, and the sound of streams that nobody has fully mapped. Gangkhar Puensum, Bhutan, 7,570 meters. The highest mountain on Earth that has never been climbed. 4 expeditions attempted it before 1994. All failed. Then Bhutan banned all climbing above 6,000 meters. The ban has never been lifted. The snow leopards that inhabit these slopes have lungs 30% larger than equivalent felines, paws lined with fur that makes no sound on ice, tails as long as their own bodies for balance on vertical terrain. The Bhutanese valley communities do not call them animals. They are the physical guardians of the deities that inhabit the summit. The shepherds who seasonally climb with their yaks never pass a certain point, not because it is forbidden by law, because it is forbidden by understanding. What stays after you leave is the specific silence of a place that has never heard a human voice reach its highest point. You notice that kind of silence differently once you know the reason for it. From the mountain that protects its silence by both law and belief, the spine of the range turns east to the point where the entire Himalaya decides to change direction. The air here is humid and heavy. It smells of wet earth, moss, and pine resin, a warm organic weight that feels wrong at this altitude. Then you look up and understand why. The forest reaches 4,000 meters here because the Indian Ocean monsoon enters from the east and has no barrier to stop it. Until this point. Namche Barwa, 7,782 meters, eastern Tibet, the eastern anchor of the Himalayan range. To reach it, you must cross the Yarlung Tsangpo Canyon, 5,382 meters deep, twice the depth of the Grand Canyon. A road around it was completed in 2013. No vehicle passes through the interior. This is the point where the Himalayas decide the climate of half of Asia. Namche Barwa is the eastern pillar that forces the range to turn sharply south. That bend stops the monsoon from crossing onto the Tibetan plateau. On one side of this mountain, tropical jungle, 4 meters of rain per year. On the other, desert, less than 300 millimeters. One mountain, one decision, half a continent. What does it mean that a single peak decides which half of a continent gets rain, and which half does not? And in the valley below it, a river still refuses to be fully known. The Mampa. Fishermen of the Eastern Valley call the Brahmaputra Tsangpo, the masculine river. They fish the same stretches their ancestors fished, in boats carved from a single trunk, on water that bends and accelerates, through sections that have never been navigated, from bank to bank. The sound of the river rises from the gorge below as a vibration you feel in your chest, before your ears identify it as sound. The most violent river in Asia still has sections that have never been crossed by any outside expedition. Every rapid has a Mampa name that does not appear on any official map. The thing exists. The name exists. The map has nothing. 2,400 kilometers of range, 5 countries, one continuous collision that began 50 million years ago and has not stopped. And at every point along it, someone has given the mountain a name that exists in no official document, a name that contains the specific relationship between that community and that rock, accumulated over thousands of years of living at altitude. The range is still rising, 5 millimeters per year, the same pace as your fingernails, slowly enough that no single human lifetime notices, fast enough that in geological time what exists today is not what existed before, and not what will exist after. 2,400 kilometers, 5 countries, 7 rivers, 2.5 billion people, 3 nuclear powers sharing a border along its ice, 4 religions that agreed to leave one summit untouched, 1 mountain still unclimbed because a country closed the door permanently, and below every summit, valley communities who have been reading this landscape for thousands of years, who know avalanches by their sound before they begin, who know which trail the snow leopard takes in each season, who have names for the things that no cartographer ever reached. The highest point on Earth was born at the bottom of an ocean. It is still rising.